All right. I'm ready.
About time. Where the hell have you guys been?
I don't know if he's ready.
I'm dying out here. Have you lost all your professionalism? Oh, it would seem so.
Yeah.
How disgusting. Well, it's time for the rules of acquisition, I guess.
All right. Hello, and welcome to the Rules of Acquisition, a podcast. It's still a podcast, guys. Hey, it's a podcast where we went through every episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and we talked about every single one. And now we're talking about your voicemails. That's what this is. We said there'd be a voicemail episode, and maybe you thought there wasn't going to be one because for whatever reason, but there is, and now we're doing it. And who boy? Oh, yes, so you know the drill. My name is Wade Bowen. Do I remember the drill? Maybe. I'm Wade Bowen. With me, as always, is James Nolan.
Hey, guys.
And Hugh Crawford.
Hello.
Hello. And, the last time we did this, we had just finished, and I wasn't a dad, and so many things have changed, but...
So many things.
A lot's gone on.
Yeah.
Your life has changed forever.
Yes, that's right, because we got through every episode of Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
And some other shit happened, I guess. I don't know. I forget what it was. I think I just said it, but anyways. Hey, you want to do some voicemails?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Y'all have any thoughts before we get into this?
Yeah, I do. I'm glad that you are listening. You're currently listening on the Rules of Acquisition podcast stream, wherever you get your podcasts. And we just want you to know the Kickers of Elves have a lot of projects coming down the pike. And that you shouldn't unsubscribe because we'll have new stuff being pushed to this stream every week.
That's right.
We have the Rules of Acquisition remix, which is every episode of the Rules of Acquisition. But with additional commentary from recent commentary.
Yeah.
I just recorded the first episode today of Emissary. One kicker will be doing an episode. It will be taking turns, and you should check that out.
Oh.
We also have this voicemail episode. Periodically, we'll be putting that on the Rules of Acquisition stream. Also, I'm doing a live stream with the patrons, a roundtable discussion of the Next Generation episode Sub Rosa. So that will be a live Google Hangout where our patrons we're going to talk about that episode, and that the audio from that will be put on the Rules of Acquisition too, and all future Patreon roundtables will be put on this stream as well. So lots to look forward to on the Rules of Acquisition podcast stream. So yeah.
Sub Rosa, is that Bev fucks a ghost candle?
That's exactly what that is, my friend. So
when's the date again?
I'm going to be doing that September 22nd. And of course, the co-hosts are more than welcome. You two are more than welcome to join the roundtable discussion.
No, I was like, I think I might. That might be
I just
fun,
didn't want to sign you up for any additional trek that you.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, my life has changed.
Yes, it has changed. We have more non-Trek projects coming down the pike, and the Rules of Acquisition stream will keep you updated on those as well.
Yep.
We're excited about Discovery coming out too. Walter Mosley was just hired for the writing staff. He's a great writer.
Oh yeah. When are we recording this? Nothing's happened with Walter Mosley. Something has.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited about the remix. Listening back on what we recorded in the fall of 2015 was a lot of fun. I think that when you guys, do your episodes, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I think the audience is going to enjoy the additional perspective and commentary to each podcast episode.
Just be clear, we're not rewatching the episode. We're just we're just listening to the podcast.
We are listening to the podcast and then updating you with information and commentary and perspective.
Now,
And
listen here. I might rewatch the episode. I won't. I might rewatch the episode. I will not. I could, but yeah.
I bet.
I think you hear me over 4 microphones over the course of the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff that we're gonna unpack every week on the Rules of Acquisition remix. Just how much have changed, what we got wrong, how we feel differently.
Yeah.
How we've been radicalized, in which ways we've been radicalized in the last 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it stretches from the fall of 2000.
Yeah, it was.
The show went from the fall of 2015 when we first, because it originally posted the first episode in February 2016.
Right.
But we had banked. We had.
Yeah.
This is a little bit inside baseball for our audience. We had banked weeks and weeks and weeks of podcast episodes ahead of time for production schedule reasons. So we've been doing this for 4 years. So
Yeah.
It was, and what a 4 years it's been, guys.
yeah.
Yeah. There was it almost, that's an interesting sort of snapshot in itself.
Oh, the first episode, Wade's tolerance for us is just so high. He sounds like a man who hasn't been ground down to a nub.
Yeah, remember when I still liked you guys?
Yeah, that's what he's like. It's hilarious because he's like, why did I want to do a Star Trek podcast? Just to hang out with my friends. That's what he says. I almost got choked up when he said that. I felt so bad.
That's still true.
So there's a lot to look forward to with the remix. I think the old fans will have fun listening to it, and it'll be a good way for new people who are new to the podcast to get to know us and where we are today. Anyway, on with the voicemails. I'm sorry.
No.
It could also limit the random voicemail we get. It's just like, you were wrong about something in season 2, and I'm like, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could eliminate a lot of that.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to do voicemails if we get. If we get a season 2, if a new listener has an opinion on something we said 3 years ago about a Deep Space Nine, leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
We'll do these We'll push it on the stream. Yeah,
For real. Yeah. Yeah, because we're gonna do some of that here. I mean, I don't know if we have any season 2s, but we've got. It's been a while since we've done a voicemail episode, so these. This one, for instance, y'all ready to jump in?
I am.
Yeah, hit it.
All right. This is going all the way back to Valiant, I believe. Ben from the UK.
Hi, this is Ben from Sheffield in the UK. So I only found your podcast a few months ago, but I've been listening to at least an episode every day, and I'm almost caught up. The last one I listened to was Valiant, and I had to drop you a message because it pissed me off more than I think any other one you've done. I'm not sure why that was, because you've done a lot of episodes that have pissed me off, but maybe this is just one that just rubbed me the wrong way. So I'll try and make this not too long. Basically, I think you seem to have missed the entire point of the episode of Valiant. Or at least your point is completely different to my understand it. This episode is not about the military or military attitudes. It's about what would happen to a group of young, naive cadets if they were stuck behind enemy lines and had to deal with the situation. And that's it. It's about how young people are naive and have this view of war and duty that's simplistic, and that if they were, put in charge of a warship, they would inevitably see things as though, that it was their job to fight bad. They need to fight the good fight. And I think the whole point is that without experience, they don't understand. The captain or the command crew would not understand that you need to look after your crew as much as you have a duty to complete your mission, and that and I'm trying to not trail off too much, but basically you asked at one point, why was he a bad captain? And my response to that would be, well, because he was 20 years old. There's no way that he was ever going to be a good captain. And if you had put, 100 different 20-year-old captains into the same situation, probably like 97 or 98 would have done the same thing as he did. It's just there's no way around that. It was just a tragedy of these people of these young cadets who were put in a situation where they were never going to win. And I think there's a lot of problems with the episode, and the whole setup is slightly ridiculous of them traveling the Federation. I agree with that. It's an episode that I loved when I watched it as a 16-year-old, and then as I rewatch it again and again, I'm like, I see. There's problems. There's plenty of problems. The acting is not good, but I think I understand the point of the episode. I understand the themes, and I think the whole thing, the fact that Nog just integrated into this crew so quickly, is just there to show you how young people would react, and how even Nog, who was only there for a few days, believed in the captain. Well, of course he believes in the captain, because he's young and naive and a bit stupid, and this is what's going to happen. But anyway, I'm going to stop now. And I do enjoy these episodes, I do, but Valiant, that was an annoying one for me. Okay, cheers, bye.
So Valiant was just about the folly of youth.
Yeah, Ben knows what it's about. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I think that if I remember correctly, I think some of this was said by me. I know this critique of it was that I didn't understand, sort of. And what I was asking was that I think I was trying to make a much bigger point about Star Trek in general and about the Federation, where you're supposed to see an organization that would work differently. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I was saying is where it highlights all of these ways that these cadets went wrong. And I was just trying to show that it sort of highlighted how they were just showing them work as any military organization would work. And in a way that's shrinking what we know and what's special about Star Trek. And it goes back to that. Do we look at it as this?
Did that any chance that they could get? Well, they also expanded
and so,
it too.
we go back to that. Are you showing us an aspirational organization, or an organization that's just as corrupt and reflects the corruption of our current sort of system? And I mean, that I think was what we were speaking to. But I get on the surface level, the story made sense in that regard, that they were just kids and doing, reacting as unseasoned people would do in the world. I was just showing that, like, this was a place where you could show that the Federation did work differently,
right?
Fundamentally,
right.
But
I mean, I don't. I thought my argument was that the Federation is supposed to be, but these kids are dumb and fuck them.
Well, that's his point. Yeah.
I don't remember.
That captain was hooked on trucker speed and power, so it's not like he's...
Yeah, I don't know.
But I was saying it, but I guess I was trying to make the point that how incentives got him to where he was, and the system incentivized him to get there.
Okay.
So everything that he did that was crazy and insane, from sacrificing the ship at the end to everything,
systematic problem, not a folly.
It was just a product of... It was the product of the system that they've shown you wanted, that was shown glory in the show. Like the way the Federation sort of moves its hierarchy up. Well, the kid was incentivized by all of those things. And that's what I was trying to say, is like, what did he do wrong? I meant by his training, what did he do wrong? Because it showed,
Well, I think what he did wrong was choosing to stay out there instead of just making the trip back to school.
Yeah. But in another story, that could be literally in the first Star Trek movie, that could be like a show of heroism and valor.
Yeah.
To not step down.
Yeah. To his point, any 20-year-old would be an awful captain, and then they make a 20-year-old a captain. They give Captain Kirk the ship literally right out of school. Like he woke up that morning and it was a school day, and he went to bed that night, the captain of Enterprise. So
so it's just that sort of
I think the stories could do whatever you want. And the story that he wanted to see was the story of the folly of youth, and Star Trek 2009 was a story about a young kid being awesome.
But it's the same story up to the end, or from a certain point of view.
Sure. All right.
Yeah. But good call, and
it was a good call, we don't mind. We don't mind hearing that we piss you off.
Well, no, we love hearing that. I think I agree with everything.
Well, at least it elicits a feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Even if I don't remember. No, thanks again. Yeah, I just like hearing from the people from across the pond.
Yeah, we like international.
I just like their accents. Sorry, I have whatever.
And he would just like to point out that you have a lovely film industry in your own country.
Right. All right. Moving on. Well, we got this one from Barry asking when we're doing season 7. We can just skip that one.
Yeah. Good call.
Then, yeah.
God bless you, Wade.
Yeah, I maybe made them listen to that before, and this time I'm smarter. And so we have Jeffrey from Virginia. Let's listen to him.
Birds of Virginia, flying within you. R.I.P. Dave Berman.
Oh, shit. Pouring one out.
Hey, this is Jeffrey calling from Virginia again. I'm the guy who hates Worf. And I was just calling about Esri Dax. You all had another great episode last time. I love listening to you all every week. I just wanted to call in to talk about Esri being a therapist. I'm training to be a therapist now through social work, but you all were right that there's a difference between all the different kinds. But just you all got it right. Psychiatrists prescribe meds. Psychologists sometimes do therapy, but mostly do like a bunch of testing. Social workers do therapy. There's like LPCs, licensed marriage and family therapists. There's lots of different things, and we all just do therapy. But yeah, so there's a few different ethics violations in this episode. Like I said, I'm in a program now, and that's like the first thing you go over. The biggest one was Cisco getting her promoted, like you all said. It's unethical for him to put somebody in a position where they haven't had the training, just like a doctor who hasn't finished med school or anything else. Like she seemed to me like she hadn't finished her therapist training. And also if he knows she's going to be bad and she tells him she's going to be bad, he shouldn't put her in a position where she's going to fail patients and maybe cause more harm. The other thing that I've just been interested since Counselor Troy was on is how they can basically live and be friends with all of their patients. Like in our classes also, they just tell us, you can't be friends with the patients. You shouldn't see them outside of therapy hours. Obviously, you can't sleep with them. But Troy and Esri just live with them, and they're friends. So they go to sessions, they hear really personal things, and then they're back on the bridge dealing with them as colleagues, which is just really... it's called dual roles, and it's just really unethical, because how can they treat these people knowing all of this stuff? Sorry, how can they treat them knowing them as friends, and also how can they go back on the bridge and just being friends with them and getting lunch, knowing also all of this stuff about their childhood? And I think you all had a conversation a while back about like therapy on TV, and obviously it's just so that they can have characters talk about their feelings, because that's easier than doing voiceovers or showing it through their actions. But this episode, Esri actually, I mean, yeah, she sucks, but she did a good job approaching Garrick with something about his childhood. And I know that's a cliche, but it actually is related to how your brain works as you develop. Your kind of inner brain, your limbic system is in control.
Oh, and unfortunately the asshole voicemail cut him off, but the rest of that's a very, very good call.
Yes, that's a solid gold. Yeah, gold star call right there.
For all that Star Trek tries to be all ethical and everything, their ethics are fucked up when it comes to the medical professions of any sort.
It's a really good point he makes about Deanna Troy, and I'd heard this voicemail before. So, I've been thinking about it. Basically, I've thought of it several times since. It's like, what a weird sort of predicament that was just that. I mean, she was sleeping with Riker, and there would be
Right.
scenes where I think he's like on the couch with her, right? Like, it's all
and
so
Barclay
weird.
was like, "I want to fuck you," and it wasn't. No, I'm just not into you. Is what the answer. Like, you're my fucking patient. That is, I shouldn't even be friends with you. Yeah,
and so like it's all very, I don't know, it naive, I guess, or a naive representation of it. And when you think, it's one of those things where you think about it, it breaks hard. You know, you're like, oh, that's just, And then I thought of a fix for it, which is that they could keep trying to come to her, because she's there as an advisor to Picard.
right.
She's not there to be anybody's personal therapist and help them personally. She's there to help the Picard
I actually think
navigate.
she is.
She
says
kind of
several times that my door
Yeah.
is open to you, and
Yeah.
she
No, I
has
know,
scheduled
but isn't
sessions
she-
where she has
initially
scheduled.
Roddenberry brought her on. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
for like
Initially.
but, like she's definitely
But then the writers are like, wouldn't it be cool if she had a couch and she had appointments? And
Yes,
stuff?
no,
yeah, totally. Yeah.
But when she was brought on that role. My thing is that they should make it a reoccurring thing where people keep coming to her with their problems, and then she always just says, "I'm not your therapist. Go speak to Barbara. Barbara's great. She'll help you out." And they're like, and then they just keep talking, and then you have the conversation that you needed to have for the story purposes anyway.
Right.
But at least it's like a ongoing nuisance, and at
Right.
least it gives the
Look.
impression that she's aware that there's an ethical violation there, at least.
I'm here to talk to poor representations of aliens that are just like black African people and tribal make. Season 1's a mess. No.
So that's where that's very interesting. Good call.
Yes. All right. And here we got one from Eric.
Our old high school friend Eric Todd.
Yeah, a different Eric, an old friend of the pod we've heard from before.
Oh, Eric. Oh, from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. On everybody's favorite baseball episode. Nobody can dispute that they love this one.
Oh my God. Oh, I've heard this call too.
Yeah. Ethnoship.
Oh my God.
Hello out there in podcast land. This is Eric from Pennsylvania at Ariel Base on the Twitter machine on the rare occasions that I use that, or at ariel.base on Instagram, which I use a lot more often. Anyway, calling in response to Take Me Out to the Holosuite, as well as, if I'm being honest, like most of season 6. So look, James, I'm not here to tell you to get your head right. And I'm not here to rage quit the show. I still tune in excitedly every week because every week the pod gives some interesting perspective and some new way of looking at an episode that never would have occurred to me. And I find that really enhances my enjoyment of Deep Space Nine and, deepens my love of this show. And I think that's really cool. So I'm still here. But maybe spend an afternoon, listen to a few episodes from season 6 of the ROA, and watch a few YouTube videos that call themselves takedowns of The Last Jedi and that wank themselves off for 20 minutes about how the Rian Johnson broke the character of Luke Skywalker and betrayed the fan base because blah, 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 blah. And just ponder how different or not different one of those things sounds from the other. Maybe. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, with videos like that, I can't always say that I factually disagree with every point that they make, but it's not about the facts of X, Y, or Z. It's about how much weight you give X, Y, or Z, how much it bothers you. I might agree that something in The Last Jedi or in an episode of Deep Space Nine is dumb, but still love it and still think that it's adorable and sweet when Worf and Dax get married, and that episode makes my heart feel warm, and that I'm happy to watch it again and again. And that's okay. Two people don't always have to be bothered the same amount by the same thing. And you can point out the thing that bothered you, and if it didn't bother Wade as much, then that's just the situation. It didn't bother him as much. You don't have to yell at him and tell him not to yell until it also bothers him, because nothing's really gained by that. I don't tune in to the ROA to see if this week James can finally convince Wade to stop liking Deep Space Nine. I tune in to hear 3 different perspectives on lots of different things about an episode, not a half-hour fight about one thing and then a rewatch meter. So, I don't know. That's my perspective, and that's all I got for right now. Still listening, still enjoying. Just Peldar Joy, you fucking assholes.
Okay, the big difference between the Last Jedi videos and James on this show is people have these perspectives on The Last Jedi, and they need to get them out, and they have an agenda. Okay,
I just want to blow the doors off the internet and announce, finally reveal to the world that James is Doomcock. Sorry.
Oh, the quartering, that's the guy.
No, and my point is that James is unpacking. A lot of the times, James is unpacking how he feels about a show, like live as the show unfolds. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't come with a set agenda against anything. He's just trying to reconcile what he saw with what he thinks live in real time with us. So that's the difference between the two.
And I'll admit,
one of the many differences between the two.
It doesn't. And I'll admit specifically on that episode, I feel like on the Take Me Out to the Ball Game episode, like that was just an idea that we were it was a let's talk about this for 3 minutes thing, but I felt like our responses to each other, it got derailed, and it was fun.
It got derailed in an organic way, though. We didn't plan on that. It was a small thing. The ethno-ship was a small thing that I thought was slightly weird.
That Wade could not let go.
I didn't mean for us to unpack it for half an hour. None of us planned that. That just went off the rails organically because we were all trying to reconcile the degree to which that was necessary.
Yes.
And I understand our audience's reaction to that, not being what they tuned in for. They didn't want to hear a half-hour debate on whether or not Starfleet should have sanctioned ethno-ships. However, they didn't want that, but we got to the bottom of it, and now they know how we feel about it. So that's the difference between James and The Last Jedi nerds.
Yeah.
And he's not racist or sexist or misogynistic or homophobic.
Yeah. And I love The Last love.
And we all love The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi may be my favorite Star Wars movie.
That's
yes.
I ain't mad.
Yes.
Yes.
I watched The Last Jedi for the first time since I saw it in the theater last week with my son or whatever, and I texted you guys that we don't deserve The Last Jedi.
Yeah. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. But no, yes. I have since I try to approach things differently now. I think that sometimes, and that was one of them where I it felt like Wade wasn't getting my point. He could even
I just didn't agree with your point, but
that's not what it seemed. So I kept going, but I'm working.
so am I. We're in couples therapy now, and
he was just trying to if Wade didn't seem to understand where James was coming from, he's constantly recalibrating and reframing what he means.
Yeah. But I get that it is.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next voicemail.
Here we go. We got Warren from Seattle.
Ooh, very nice.
Gentlemen, Warren from Seattle here again to check in with you about ethno-ship, because we all want to talk about ethno-ship more. No, I'm just kidding. No one wants to hear that shit.
You said it.
No, what I'm really calling about is the siege of AR-558 And I'm going to do something really wild here. I'm actually going to rail on Bashir, or at least the writing of Bashir, a little bit, because something stuck with me when I watched this the last time. It seems kind of weird that following this episode, and I don't mean to get into spoiler territory too much, but nothing really changes for Bashir and O'Brien in terms of their sort of hollow suite suicide fantasies. Following this episode, it stands to reason that now that Bashir has actually been in a life and death sort of I don't know, 1 against 100 sort of siege situation, or, a small group against a much larger group, that he might not want to keep fantasizing about all of these, Battle of Alamo or the Battle of Thermopylae or all these little crazy situations that him and O'Brien are jumping into the Hollow Suite to sort of have their little suicide fantasies about, which I always thought was kind of fun. I never minded it, and I still don't really mind it, but it seems like kind of a hole in the writer's room, in that this would have been a great opportunity for him to maybe go back to Deep Space Nine and say, hey there, Miles, I actually don't want to do the Alamo again, because I actually almost did die because I was outnumbered 10-1, and that's not really very fun, and I've kind of seen the other side of that now, and fuck that. Let's go, I don't know, do some other weird historical reenactment. But, I think you guys have covered really well that the writers haven't really thought Bashir out all that well. And when they do have a really good idea, they don't follow up on it or even realize it. So, yeah, there you go. That's me, throwing you guys a bone, a well-deserved bone in terms of a Bashir deficiency, because, not even I can argue that one away. I think it was a really bad missed opportunity, and that this should have been the basis for Bashir to grow a little bit. And as I recall in season 7, that simply doesn't happen, at least as it relates to this. So let me know what you think. And yeah, keep doing what you do. We're getting to the end of this, and it's been fun going along this whole journey with you guys, and I've been there from the beginning. So kudos to all the hard work, and talk to you soon. Bye.
And Warren has been historically a Bashir booster, hasn't he?
Yeah. He was the one that he was the boost. That's most of his calls have been on that. And I will go back and I'll just I'll refer back to sort of my final thoughts about Ira Stephen Bear's influence and sort of his peccadillos and what he's not interested in. And I think that those kinds of things to make Bashir a more deeper 3-dimensional person, that just wasn't what he was interested in doing with that character, or many of the other
3-dimensional characters wasn't what his strong suit. It's what you're saying. Yeah. Because I don't know about that Quark episode, but no, you're right.
Here's what it is. What's frustrating is that what's the most frustrating thing about this show is the lack of clear vision in the creators. Mm-hmm. When things feel patchwork and haphazard, you realize it as an audience. Mm-hmm. And when you're watching something with such a strong, clear vision, you realize it as an audience member. And this show does not have a strong, clear vision. It's tied to the whims of its creator. If the creator feels like doing shenanigans episodes, that's what gets done.
I think it has a stronger vision than y'all do. I'm less inclined to lay it all on one creator, even if the showrunner. I agree. I agree that the showrunner that's where the buck stops. But I think I've talked a lot about how I see this as a triumph over everything that they did get done. I want to see the good in that, and then just fighting with production and doing everything different that Star Trek hadn't done before. I see that as a struggle.
Okay, well, I'm talking about
other things.
Specifically characters, though.
Well, yeah, Bashir sucks.
They didn't have a clear vision for their characters.
Bashir sucks,
and their characters were the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stories that they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I do think, I think that does lie at the feet of Ira Stephen Bear.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they didn't do more, you could say, oh, I wish if he were a different showrunner, they might have. But yeah.
Who wrote the show Bible for this? I've read the show Bible.
Michael Piller.
Michael Piller.
So he created all these. Michael Piller actually created these characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why didn't he get to see more of that through?
He moved on to another Star Trek, and he was.
I think he was sickly. think he was sickly, wasn't he? He was poorly.
He was at one point, yeah. And he probably had to step down too. But they are playing with the toys that other people made. So it's like it's part of a fucking franchise, not as a juggernaut as like Marvel is today, but they're playing with Star Trek stuff. So there's certain expectation of what you're doing with that, and then there's a lot of back and forth. But ultimately, if like Robert Hewitt Wolf had stayed on, or
he gets the. I'll say he gets the acclaim for the show. He gets the blame for the show. There's a documentary about Deep Space Nine that just came out this year, and who's on the center of the poster.
Like I said, the buck does ultimately stop with him, and he wants to take as much credit as he can, and to a certain amount he's due. But also, you didn't get to be an auteur in 1998.
With your show. That is a great point.
No, I do, but you do.
But it seems like it's the old saying that success has many fathers and, failure,
No one told him to do the blockbuster thing that they did in season 7. Or was it season? Yeah, that's season 7.
The blockbuster.
Like, he could have said, hey, guys, let's come up with original stories.
Oh, the blockbuster. I watched this video last night. Let's do that shit.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant Blockbuster Video?
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Sorry. I made the point. It seems like they're browsing through a Blockbuster Video and go, that one, and that one, and that one. We'll do these.
Right.
Yeah. But that voicemail was about Bashir, right? He blows. Sure. Okay, I can agree with you guys on that.
Yeah, I was just referring back to my final thoughts towards Ira Stephen Bear, but... Yes, we rerun over my final thoughts on Ira Stephen Bear.
Well, that's what.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What's the podcast if I'm not jumping on your dick about something? I'm sorry. Thanks, Warren.
I can't call them my final thoughts on Ira Stephen Bear anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We'll probably get your final thoughts on Ira Stephen Bear, and I'll jump in front of you like at least 5 more times before we're done with this.
Yes.
All right. Here we got one from Jackie from New Orleans.
Hey guys, this is Jackie from New Orleans, Louisiana. My last voicemail got cut off. Apparently I am too long-winded. So let me try to summarize. Apparently I'm more passionate about this than I originally thought. I'm super far behind. I just listened to the Times Orphan episode, so you guys, I'm sure, no longer care or even possibly remember what you talked about. But as a child and adolescent psych nurse, I just had to call in and support Wade, that he was absolutely correct in his assessment that the behavior that Molly was showing would make total sense for somebody who didn't have any receptive communication with other sentient beings. And it is actually pretty similar to solitary confinement in that you can talk to yourself all you want, but the brain processes speaking and receiving voice, audible messages differently. And if you do not hear from another person, do not process different information, that part of your brain will atrophy, and it will do so actually relatively quickly. So it's not outside the realm of possibility at all that Molly would have lost her verbal capacity or a lot of it. And if you guys want examples of feral children, you can stick it in Wikipedia. I mean, there's tons of them. If you want a really horrifying read about a feral child, Jeannie in California is her father essentially isolated her in a room from the age of 20 months until she was in her early teens, and she was severely fucked up. Also, to continue my pro-Wade voicemail, Molly hitting her head on the bars is another thing that makes total and complete sense. I mean, she has spent all this time not having any real stimulation, and then she's in a bar, and there's foreign people to her, and so it makes, there's so many reasons why she would hit her head. I mean, just briefly, you look at people with autism disorders, and you see them causing themselves pain, and it's either because they're overstimulated or understimulated. Either in either case, they need something to focus on, either because there's not enough going on, or there's too much going on. And whereas hitting yourself when there's too much going on might seem counterintuitive, think about when you stub your toe and it hurts so bad you can't think of anything else. So it is actually a pretty effective tool. I got to say, this episode was terrible for a lot of things, but what really pissed me off was that there was a great opportunity that was missed to look at mental health in the 23rd century. You know, that there should have been some kind of medicine or advanced counseling.
Oh, damn it, wait.
Damn it, voicemail. This is Jackie from New Orleans, Louisiana, for a third time. I just had one word left. I just need to finish my sentence. Institution. Molly should never have been, that should never been an option for Molly to be in an institution. If you give a shit as to why, listen to my previous two voicemails. I think you guys make a great and entertaining podcast that I really enjoy, and got some long road trips coming up, so I'm looking forward to fully catching up to you guys on the series. And who knows, maybe somebody else called in and already bitched about this. All right. Thanks so much for listening. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
That was an epic.
See, those are my favorite kind of voicemails, where they tell me that I'm right about everything now.
Well, okay, so let's look at the facts.
But she's also an expert, so thanks again, Jackie.
Yeah.
That was
yes.
A+ gold star call.
Well, let's look at the facts. What she said I said is clearly wrong.
Oh.
And I can't be wrong. So clearly it's her understanding of what I said. No, I'm just kidding. No, very quickly after that episode airs. I may even looked it up afterwards. But yes, I was very, very wrong. And I was wrong. And so it's not a mistake if you don't learn something. And I learned quite a bit, and especially from your call. So thank you.
All right. Yeah. That was great, Jackie.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, I don't know what else to add.
No, that's it. It's very interesting. And that was, viewing it differently then. I was pretty sour on that whole season. So I was pretty grumpy at that point.
I mean, we can all agree that was a garbage episode. Yeah. All right, here we have Kennedy from New York.
The host of The Five on Fox?
Yeah, you know, from Kennedy from MTV.
Alternative Nation?
Yep, that one. The Lisa Loeb looking girl. Remember Lisa Loeb? Gen Zers?
I do remember Lisa Loeb.
Probably more than you remember Kennedy. All right, anyway.
She was the Juliana Hatfield looking girl.
Right, with glasses.
Hey guys, this is Kennedy from New York. Really love the podcast. I actually have a confession to make, and that is I did not find out about this until like a month ago. So I've been binging just the rules of acquisition stuff. I actually got up to season 4 before I realized how far ahead you guys were. So I just skipped ahead a little bit to listen to you guys talk about my favorite Cisco ball in the air moment at the casino. But I did have some thoughts on the last episode, which is Bashir plays a real spy and finds out it's not really his business or role. And I agree with you guys when you say about Section 31 and their motives, but when I think about Section 31, I kind of think about them the same way that the movie Firefly, you know, with Nathan Fillion and Chiwetel Ejiofor. In that movie, like Chiwetel Ejiofor is like this agent for the government, and they're like, "Oh, you're a monster," and he's like, "You're damn right, I'm a monster. I'm not gonna live in the promised land. I'm gonna be on the outside looking in, but that's my goal. That's my lot in life, and I'm cool with it." Like, I think Section 31, I think there are plenty of people in there who do believe that, hey, this is a goal that we want, but they also believe that there's no way that it can be achieved without doing dirty pool and being not only reactive but proactive and firing the first shot or causing people to be murdered and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily agree with Section 31, but I kind of do understand, because, you know, you look at the Klingons, You know, back in season 4, they tried to have Worf sent away to them to be tried and murdered for a crime he didn't commit. And, you know, the Romulans have several times tried to precipitate civil wars for their own goal. So, you know, in this galaxy where the Federation is doing their best and trying to be good and wholesome, when everybody else isn't doing that same thing, it kind of feels like Section 31 is just like they're the realist in the room to the idealist. And even though they may go a little bit too far, they kind of have somewhat of a point where it's just like, at the end of the day, it's more important to protect the people than it is to protect the ideals, because if there are no people around, the ideal, it dies with it. But, yeah.
All right. Y'all want to fight about Section 31 some more?
Do I have some books for you if you like Section 31?
Oh, shit. How many of that 500 books that you got were Section 31 books?
For those of you who don't know, I went to the public library, and I always look at the donated bookshelf to see what you can buy for, paperback. Mass paperbacks are $0.25, paperbacks are 50 cents, and hardbacks are $1. And, you could find used books there every once in a while that people donated. Well, somebody donated their entire Star Trek book collection, and the librarian was putting them on the shelf. And I walked up and I said, "Oh, somebody donated their entire Star Trek book collection?" She's like, "Yeah, they're only $0.25. Get yourself a couple." And I said, "I will." And then I said, "I'll take them all." And the look on her face, she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're only $0.25. There's 120 books. I spent $30.
Hugh has the weirdest retail therapy.
I know. Yeah, you sent me like all the Titan series in there, you sent me duplicates.
I didn't even realize, because I look at, So, I do. Yeah. So I have, there's 4 books called Section 31, and they each take place in a different timeline. Kirk's on the cover of one. Bashir's on the cover of one. Data's on the cover of one. You get the picture. 7 of 9's on the cover of one.
Yeah.
But if you like Section 31, I don't know what to tell you. You like looking at stories where they justify dark pragmatism.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying...
The dream of the Federation is that you hope they don't need it, actually. That's my whole thing with Section 31.
He was framing it.
You can argue that it's necessary, but like the point of view characters of your story are fighting against it. And maybe that's an aberration that the Federation could still exist without it, even though it did all this stuff that they will say is necessary. And your grimdark writers, I bet your odds, Kurtzman will want to tell you that, yes, it was necessary for the Federation to exist, and I'm going to make a show about it. It's going to be stupid. But I don't know. Yeah.
No, but, the way he framed it in his voicemail specifically was, you either have the ideals or you have the people. And I sort of reject that. That's then you're buying into the dark pragmatism that they're selling.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'd rather not buy into that too.
And then once
So if you don't buy into that premise altogether, but if you do, then, and that's an entertaining story idea for you, then I don't begrudge that to you. That's not why I watch Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's where we keep coming back to, is it seems like all of these decisions may bring Star Trek into a more realistic realm, but it also just brings it into the realm of all the other stories.
Right.
What made it unique was this aspirational groundwork.
Yeah. I guess I can enjoy a Section 31 story to the extent that you can say it's a darker impulse of the Federation, but once you say it's necessary for the Federation, then I don't like it anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't like Section 31 as a premise that is necessary for the existence of the Federation.
And that's definitely the viewpoint of whoever's running the show currently, right?
Currently, I think so. Well, they don't have a clear enough viewpoint anyway. The viewpoint of Discovery is whiz bang pow laser space fights, so then they'll put some code.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna have a show about them and shit like that, you've got to somehow justification.
Yeah, they want to add some coding of deeper thought on it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
So probably.
I mean, the theme of the show isn't "we shouldn't exist," is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Yeah.
So I mean, like,
The theme of the show that I can get behind is that Michelle Yeoh is awesome.
yeah.
But that's as far as I can get with it.
So yeah, and I feel the same way as you.
Yeah.
And sort of the general mood of my venture through this is the dark pragmatism of the show ratcheted up. My tolerance for the extremes of that went down, and my mad, insane personal desire to see something of a world that can progress past this shit, and wanting to see that, because that was a fundamental element of Star Trek. And then it was just maybe the wrong time in my life to watch Deep Space Nine. But I'm definitely, this is where I'm at. Like, I think these things bring me down. Don't build me, don't make me enjoy it more, or bring me some deeper understanding of why people do dark things. It just makes the show the same as other shows.
Yeah. But thanks for the.
Is that the last voicemail?
No.
It can be.
We could do it. Yeah, this is an hour long right now. We could do another episode next week and put it on the stream. We don't have to do one mega episode.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't have to be weighed down by the yoke of this millstone around my neck of doing. No, I love hearing from everybody. But
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
if we're gonna keep fresh stuff on the stream. Let's.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm with you.
Let's not shoot our watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll have more. So we'll go out.
Hey, Wade, that was a great voicemail episode. Do you want to tell people how they can find us?
I do. Well, they know where to find us here, obviously. But more importantly, you may have heard at the top of the show, like Hugh doing that roundtable discussion for patrons. Patrons, you say, wow, I've never listened to this podcast before. How would I ever know where to go for that? I've never listened to any podcast that says go to Patreon. But anyways, so that's what you can do. You go to patreon.com/Kickers of Elves. And we have hours and hours and hours of content there about so many other things. If you want to leave a voicemail, oh shit, this was a voicemail episode, go ahead and do that at 917-408-3898. And what else am I forgetting? I'm so jostled and frazzled and sleep deprived.
No, well, we've got a new season of Hashish and Superiority coming out, and we'll be announcing the book for that podcast.
Oh shit, yeah.
Pretty soon. And we have other projects coming down the pike, so people just need to stay tuned to this podcast stream and they'll find out new stuff.
All right, yeah. I think that says it all, or everything that I couldn't think of. Yeah, so do all the stuff that every podcast wants you to do, and you can still rate and review us and do all the other things. And you know the drill. And check out the Patreon and all the other stuff we're doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for listening to a voicemail episode of The Rules of Acquisition. We hope you join us next time as we talk about other cool things such as Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, or books. For Wade, James, and Hugh, 3 to beam out.
Boop. No.
Well, you know the drill. It's nice to have you back.